Managing technology as you scale a small business can be a real growing pain. Too often, business owners or some other employee with no real technical background or interest end up being an accidental IT administrator because that's just how the dice fell. But at some point, this becomes unsustainable, either because of growth, or because of complexity, or because of risk. And you shouldn't wait until something breaks to come up with a solution. The next step on this path isn't necessarily to start building your own IT department. For many smaller and even bigger businesses, the right solution is to contract with an MSP or managed service provider, an outside company that manages your IT or other technology in partnership with you. In this video, I'm going to explain why I'm a strong advocate of finding a good MSP over other possible solutions in many scenarios, and how you might think about that transition from accidental admins to outsourced professionals. But before we dig too far into MSPs, let's think about the alternatives. One way to help solve your technology challenges is to keep watching my videos. So make sure you like this one, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you know immediately when I release my next one. Many businesses that start with just one person or a handful of employees start with technology needs that are really not too complex. The majority of people wouldn't run into too many difficulties heading over to Microsoft 365 or to Google Workspace, setting up a business account and adding a few users. And for those who might find this more challenging, there's lots of resources out there to help. In these scenarios, often a business owner or a trusted initial employee remains the admin. But then your business grows. You end up with more users, more apps, more devices. Your website might be more complex. Perhaps you have an online store. You're engaged with multiple social and sales channels online. You need to worry about issues like maintaining good Wi-Fi in your office, or perhaps you offer connectivity to customers when they visit. The amount of data you store and rely on also grows, and as your contracts with your customers increase in size, their expectations around your care and professionalism come more sharply into focus. With this growth, with this evolution of needs, and with just more complexity across your organization, the approach these accidental admins can take to stay afloat starts to break into two broad categories. First, we have the accidental admin martyr, who arrives early and stays late, grappling with IT problems they have few skills and even less interest to learn about. But they see this as the way the cards were dealt, and surely it's just too expensive to do it any other way. They are an unintentional and well-meaning roadblock to innovation for your business, and are blinded to the fact that in many cases, they could use their IT-focused time far more productively and profitably. They have heard of security issues like ransomware, but take an approach that there's just not time to think about that right now, and surely these are problems for bigger and more complex businesses. Then we have the accidental admin delegator, who wants to know very little about how their systems work, but knows for certain that everyone they work with is honest, would never fall for a scam, and probably knows more about computers than they do. They share privileged credentials like they're candy. There is no roadblock to innovation, as everyone can just do their own thing, but there's also no standardization. They aren't too worried about security, as they might have hired someone part-time to do some of the IT stuff. And they know they're highly trained because they have some IT certificate, and they came highly recommended by their hairdressers, brothers, bosses, badminton partner. There are certainly variations to these characters in many businesses. And don't get me wrong, these are well-intentioned, hard-working people with the best goals in mind. But their needs have simply outgrown the solution that they're able to provide, and they need to take a step on a new path in order to help their business continue to develop. Now, it might be reasonable to think that that part-time, hairdresser-connected recommendation with some IT certificate could be seen as the first step in a path of building out your in-house IT team. And there's nothing wrong with that goal. But there's also a lot of risk with this approach, as while you might be extremely lucky and find someone who has an affordable price tag and rockstar skills and a personal drive for continued learning, you're just as likely to find someone who's lacking capabilities you need, and you just don't realize it until it's too late. What if they don't know how to properly secure your workstations? What if they are lacking the knowledge that they need to ensure you don't have vulnerable plugins in WordPress? IT is this really big space, and even if budget is no issue, finding someone with all the skills you need can be really hard, if not impossible. And in most circumstances, you don't have the option to hire 2 or 3 or 4 people right off the bat. So this is why when I meet with small businesses that are experiencing this type of IT growing pain, my first recommendation is often to seek out an MSP. They add a heck of a lot of value across the board, but these are my top 3 considerations. Firstly, an MSP will help you move faster. Now, it's certainly cheaper in terms of the amount of cash consumed for a business owner to spend some of their off time fixing some vexing IT problem than it is to bring in a third party to do it. But this simply doesn't take into account the lost opportunity in that business owner's time, or the operational frustration that's created by a system being down or working suboptimally, and the impact that that has on the rest of the business. The support an MSP can bring simply allows you to respond to problems quicker and to get back to work more rapidly. Instead of taking an hour to work out how to reset a password, you can get it done in 5 minutes. And instead of someone in your office spending a couple of hours on the phone seeking out technical support for your point of sale, your MSP can take care of it remotely so work can continue while they deploy the fix. These factors are difficult to put a value on if all your business has known is an inefficient alternative. But these 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute time savings, along with the reduction in stress, can add up rapidly. This gives you more capacity to think about the future rather than thinking about the now, or to move your focus from the operational day-to-day into the planning that's going to help you grow. Where that growth has a technical component, your MSP can help too, either by providing additional services directly or working in partnership with external consultants like my business or other suppliers to reduce how much internal staff have to think about the mundane aspects of technology. Secondly, your MSP will help you build resiliency. When all the keys to your IT kingdom are in the hands of one person, or your system documentation is just whatever resides in the brain of the person who set it up, you are always just one failure away from complete disaster. And that bus that we all worry about getting run down by does rarely come, but it does sometimes, as does illness, or unexpected business relationship breakdown, or even malfeasance. There are certainly MSPs that are just 1 or 2 people. These might be great in some situations, but they're not what I'd recommend. You need to partner with an MSP that's big enough to have a diverse range of skills and to be able to fully cover out-of-hours needs, or just to provide service with any internal difficulties they might have, like staff turnover. You're probably looking at an organisation that's in the range of 10 to 20 people minimum, in order to get that broad coverage of the skills that they need and the time that they need to cover, but an MSP might be slightly smaller or might be much, much bigger. What you get is the breadth and depth of an IT department for a fraction of the cost, and you can be sure that no individual's departure or illness or any other single issue is going to leave you high and dry without someone knowing how your systems work. Lastly, having an MSP is demonstrative of due diligence. Now, no individual, no MSP, not even the biggest tech companies can guarantee to you that you'll never run into an IT issue. And if you're starting to do business with someone or a business that suggests that by contracting with them, you have a 100% ironclad guarantee that you'll never have a technology outage or data loss or an issue with some malicious actor, then I'd suggest that you run for the hills as they're lying to your face. But contracting with a suitably qualified MSP with enough team members and the right skills de-risks your IT operation far, far more than having an accidental admin or some part-time solo IT guy. Your MSP should be able to demonstrate expertise in system security, identity management, data compliance, disaster recovery, building of documentation, and to do all of this in a way that's outlined and obligated by their contract with you. They should also have good internal systems to audit their access to your systems and data, and to log their interactions with you and your team members. You should know the role they'll take if you have an IT incident. Who will they accept instruction from when you're unavailable? And how will they support you to get back on track, even if it's 3 a.m. on a holiday weekend? These factors can help you demonstrate to internal audiences, such as a board of directors, or external audiences, such as your customers, your insurers, or regulatory agencies you work with, that you have good and effective practices in place to secure your data and ensure business continuity. Now, this certainly doesn't stop a problem from ever happening, but it helps to ensure there's a good answer for whoever asked the question, did they do everything they could to prevent this? So if I've convinced you that an MSP is the right path, what's your first step? Well, the most important thing is to get an MSP that's right for your particular needs. You need a business with a good track record, with employees with the right skills, with effective internal processes, and a price point that's reasonable for wherever you're at. I've worked with bad MSPs who have sucked value out of what could be achieved with technology, and I've also worked with good MSPs who have made technology development and innovation an easy part of doing business. Now, this is another thing that your hairdresser's brother's boss's badminton partner might have a recommendation for you on, but I'd highly recommend connecting with a range of providers. You can do this informally, but I think one of the best approaches is to work internally to build out a clear set of expectations and then to work through a formalised RFP or request for proposals process where you ask all of your target companies to respond to the same set of criteria. Depending on your scale, this might not always be totally achievable. But you can also work with a third party like my company, Bright Ideas Agency, who will work with you to manage that process. But in lots of cases, you'll choose to do it as an internal-only project. The scale of what you're looking for can vary wildly. You might already be cloud-only and really only need support for Microsoft 365 and a couple of other apps. You might have complex hardware requirements or an on-premises network that needs support. You might have outsourced things like your phone to other providers, or you might want an MSP who is going to take ownership of everything technology-related in one shot. In general, all MSPs will have a core set of services that cover help desk, security, disaster recovery, and infrastructure, and will vary in price largely based on your count of users or devices. Some will have add-on services that you can choose a la carte, or they'll just have 2 or 3 pricing tiers, and after that, you're in kind of an all-you-can-eat mode of operation. At minimum, you should check how the MSP will approach the core services you're looking for and what the onboarding journey will look like. If you have unusual equipment or apps, are they able to support them? Will they require or recommend you change out your firewall or your endpoint protection to something they're used to working with? Will they build the documentation you need as part of your onboarding process, or do they expect you to provide it? How do they deal with hardware? Is their service remote only, or will they come on site as necessary to help you? There's a long list of factors to consider depending on your exact needs. One of the key things to consider is whether the MSP has a suitable service level agreement, or SLA, for the aspects of their service that are important to you. For example, if your operation is 24/7, but service requests after 5 p.m. on Friday aren't dealt with until Monday morning, this probably isn't going to work for you. But equally, if you only need Monday to Friday business hours help desk coverage, but the price quoted looks high and the only option offered is 24/7 help desk, you might be being asked to contribute to paying for something you don't need and might be better off looking elsewhere. There are also lots of softer factors that you should consider. This is a company that you're probably going to be working with fairly closely and on a sustained basis, as you don't want to be changing your MSP every year. Do they have values around how they conduct their business that align with yours? Do they seem like an organisation you'll enjoy working and growing with? Can they explain to you how they'll work with you when things go wrong as well as they can when things go right, as invariably you will run into some problems along the way? In many ways, this might seem more like a job interview than what you do for a lot of other service providers, but in many cases it's just that important to get it right, as you'll literally be giving this company more access to your business than anyone other than your most trusted employees. Your selected MSP should probably provide you with references of relevant customers who you can connect with directly, and I'd recommend that you do this. They should also provide you with some kind of formal service agreement that optimally you'll get reviewed by a third party with some knowledge in this area and your attorney. Sometimes insurance providers, particularly if you have cyber coverage, can point you in the right direction when it comes to sharing your responsibilities with a third party like an MSP. But either way, you need to do your due diligence. You also need to be totally clear on what an MSP won't be doing. Unless it's explicitly part of their services, they're not going to be looking in any great detail at your business operations and drawing up plans to help you grow or become more efficient through bettering your technology. A good MSP will certainly help you with guiding in this area, And when you have a clear idea of where you want a project to happen, many will have the capability to help you with this. But simply contracting with an MSP doesn't add some kind of organic, technology-driven growth capability to your business. Often, other consultants will still be necessary, whether it's for those digital transformation plans, or to help you get more from your data, or just to audit aspects of the MSP's work to give you added peace of mind. I wish you the best of luck in taking your first steps in scaling your technology operation inside your organisation. Let me know in the comments if there's considerations you think I'm missing, or share your stories of the changes MSPs or other solutions have brought to your business. I hope this has been useful information and added value for you, and I hope to see you back here soon. Until then, bye bye.